Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests, to all of our distinguished Toastmasters that are in the room this evening. Welcome to the Speechcraft training session. And I want to first say thank you for taking the time out this evening to attend District 103's training on how to effectively plan and conduct a Speechcraft. But I want to give a disclaimer at this moment before we begin. Please note that the slides contained are copyrighted material. So we kindly ask that you do not make copies or distribute without the proper authorization. And I thank you so much for your understanding and cooperation in respecting these guidelines during this recorded session. Now I would like to introduce our speaker for this evening. What is the best way to boost your membership? What's involved in running a Speechcraft series? What's in it for you and your club?
Definitely, yes.
These questions and more will be answered during this session this evening. And you will learn what is the Speechcraft program is, 11 steps to a successful Speechcraft, how you benefit from serving as a Speechcraft coordinator, planning your sessions, and Speechcraft portal overview. And who would better provide these insights than a top-rated, passionate trainer on the topic? Our presenter this evening has been quite active working the Toastmasters program and joined Toastmasters in 2015 and has actively embraced the Toastmasters program, earning her 3-time Distinguished Toastmasters status. With extensive experience as a club officer and district leader across multiple districts, and currently serves as the club extension chair in District 38. And she has also been honored as the Toastmaster of the Year for District 38. In 2023, Ann launched the Speechcraft Coordinator Training Series, inspired by her experience conducting a successful Speechcraft program for a nonprofit organization. Ann's dedication to helping others develop effective personal and leadership growth strategies shines through in every training she delivers. Today, she'll be providing an in-depth look into the role of a Speechcraft coordinator and share valuable insights to help all of us succeed. Let's welcome Ann Golden.
Thank you. Thank you for that awesome introduction, Trina. And good evening, or good afternoon, good morning to my fellow Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters, and to everyone in District 103. I am delighted to be here this evening with you, and I hope you get a lot out of tonight's session. Be ready to pin your ears to your computer, because there's going to be quite a bit of information coming your way tonight. In chat, could you please put in how interested are you in conducting a Speechcraft series within the next 3 months? Very interested? Just inquiring? Possibility? Can you put that in chat, and I'll have Deborah tell me what the answers are. Could you please just put that in chat? Good.
I see. Very, extremely interested.
Fantastic.
If
Fantastic.
possible, I want to hear more. Very interested.
Yes.
Possibility. I am part of 2 of them starting in District 35. So it says in the next 9 months. Hosting another one in November.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I hope this helps you in your planning. I know it will. We have a handout for you in the very beginning. If you could download You will find it useful because what's included in this handout are the 11 steps to a successful Speechcraft. And you can use that for note-taking while I'm presenting tonight, if you so wish. So if you can, download it and print it or open up as a PDF on your computer and take your notes in your best fashion. What is Speechcraft? Does everybody know what it is? It's basically a blended learning program for non-Toastmasters, for people who are not Toastmasters. I like to call it a fast track program for non-members 18 years and older to educate them in the basic public speaking skills. Therefore, when they become members, depending on the number of speeches that they will complete, they can receive or will receive credit in their Pathways program when they select a path. They complete all the subject matter in the session that it's designed for. They can join your club coming in at a level 2 with some electives completed in level 2 and level 3. It's a powerful program. But who would you attract to attend the Speechcraft? Well, do you know anyone that's having an upcoming job interview? Maybe a colleague or something you know, maybe looking for another job, or a friend. Someone in work who needs an important presentation, or someone socially who has to make a toast or, God forbid, a eulogy. This is a way to help them get comfortable in their public speaking skills, but also introduce them to your club. And that is one of the very first steps in how they can become a member. It's about building your membership. And how you do that with a Speechcraft, you're saying, well, how do we build membership with Speechcraft? Well, think of your new club when you bring in your clubs, when you bring new members in. They come and they join because of the fellowship that they see amongst your members, the community. Well, when you're conducting a Speechcraft session, you're building a relationship with the Speechcrafters. That's what they're called. As you're conducting these sessions and facilitating them, and you're getting to know one another. You're building a community. And when you build a successful community within the Speechcrafters, if they have a need to continue, they will definitely join your club. It's a club's #1 membership building tool, and I have called it in the past, it's becoming more known, but it is Toastmasters' #1 best kept secret. This is the best kept secret in Toastmasters, and it's very reasonable. Now, tonight, what we're going to review, but review in depth, is I'm going to cover the digital bundle, what's involved in that, the coordinator benefits for both you and the Speechcrafters, and what's involved in that, planning to plan your session, what you need to know to plan your session. And then I'm going to take you behind the scenes, the Speechcraft portal. It'll be a video at the end that will show you what you need to know, what you need to do in the portal. So let's begin with the digital bundle, the access, the requirements, and the insights. We're going to begin first with who can purchase the bundle. Ideally, it has to be a club. It has to be a club in good standing. Toastmaster, who's going to be the facilitator, the coordinator, can purchase it as well, but they have to be in good standing. It's not recommended that they do that, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So when you purchase the bundle, that order number that you receive, save it in a safe spot, because you need that number when you go in, sign into the Speechcraft gateway, to gain access to behind the scenes, to all the goodies that are behind the scenes, because Toastmasters provides you with everything you need to conduct the Speechcraft series. Coordinators, how many coordinators should you have? Well, the coordinator has to be from the club who is sponsoring the Speechcraft, #1. It's highly recommended that you have 1 coordinator to every 5 Speechcraft. Maximum 1 to 8. Outside of that, you become overwhelmed as a coordinator. And you'll see why as we progress on what you have to do. And Toastmasters does not give refunds. So the bundle is for 5 participants. If you only get 4, there's no refund for that 5th spot that you didn't use. Get a new Toastmaster in your club, a fairly new Toastmaster in your club, if you can't get a non-Toastmaster, to join the session. And it'll be a way for them to move fast track through their Speechcraft, through their pathways. What's in the bundle? These are all the materials that you will receive besides the digital access to the gateway. But there are 2 videos. This is all a marketing brochure and things like, and it only costs $50. $50 for 5 participants. So for every 5 participants, you would need to purchase another bundle, and you would need a second coordinator, and it must be from the same club sponsoring it. Who's going to pay for all this, right? It is highly recommended that the club treasurer makes the purchase on behalf of the club. If a member happens to purchase it, it is highly recommended that they submit for reimbursement from the club. You don't want IRS coming in. We are a nonprofit. You want to make sure those lines are clear where the money is going to. It's easy to follow. Who pays for the bundle? What do you charge? The participants. It's a tuition. It's a learning experience. It's an educational learning session. So they pay tuition, and they pay for the materials, any materials that you supply. And the payment is made directly to the club. You don't want money changing hands between individuals if you can avoid it at all possibility. What can you charge the participants? The maximum you can charge these participants is 12 months of Toastmasters International membership dues. I'll break that down a little bit for you. And by doing that, it gives clubs the opportunity to use this as a fundraising event for the club. However, we know how we like to have parties, right? Holidays and things like that, but the money that you gain from this has to be used for educational needs and purposes for your members within your club. You can't take the money that is in excess of what it costs to run the Speechcraft session and give a party or give gifts. Not allowed. You have to use it for educational purposes and needs. And there you go. Maximum is $120 that you can charge. The next sheet I'm showing you, you will get a handout for, and this will help you to determine what to charge the right price. And what this does, it gives you a formula. And breaking down what you can do to charge the participants for the Speechcraft. You can charge them $10 for the bundle, because that's the cost of the bundle. You can charge them the cost of a 6-month membership, which is $60, plus the $20 for the new member fee. So you're up to $80, that's $90. And at the end, you can tell them that part of their tuition includes 6 months membership. Part of the tuition is 6 months membership to continue building upon the skills they learn in the Speechcraft. This is very, very important, and it became even more so when over the summer or last spring, I seen someone post in the Facebook Toastmasters International saying they were giving a Speechcraft session and they wanted to know if someone could send them the agendas for the Speechcraft sessions. No, 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 no. As the Speechcraft coordinator, and this is right there when you go to the website to buy this bundle, says it right down there in the gray area, you are not permitted to re-upload, reproduce, or restrain the supply information materials for any purposes. That's a typo on my part because I retyped it. You are not permitted to re-upload, reproduce, or retransmit the behind-the-scenes materials that you get from the portal. When you pay for the bundle, you get access to it. So, sorry, my fellow Toastmaster, I'm not allowed to share it with you because I'm liable for that. And the reason why Toastmasters has been strict about that since 2022 when they went to the digital bundle is because people were taking the materials off. That's why only Toastmasters can now buy the bundle. Before anybody could buy it. because it's copyrighted material and they were taking it and using it and developing their own programs. This protocol, the reason why this is here, we've heard it enough times, but I want to show you where only clubs can sponsor a Speechcraft session. Areas, divisions, and district directors cannot sponsor. It must be at the club level. Districts can give incentive to clubs to hold Speechcraft series to gain new members, but they are not allowed to sponsor it. It must be from the club, and the member must be from the club that is sponsoring it. Enough of that serious business. Let's get on to the more lighthearted stuff. What it is for the coordinator benefits, the fun part, right? And I do get very serious when it comes to that because I do take my responsibility as a coordinator very seriously. Speechcraft coordinator benefits. What is it for you? What's in it for you? Well, number one, it fulfills a requirement to become a DTM. It's one of the things you need to do. It's an either or, but if you are a Speechcraft coordinator, it counts towards your DTM. Even if you are only a Toastmaster for 3 years and have no intention of getting a DTM, you never know once you step up and take leadership roles. You just check boxes off as you're going along in your years, and you realize you're so close to your DTM, you go for it. And that's what happened to me. So it's really important to know that. The other thing, it improves your own communication and leadership skills. And I found this to be so true for me. You know why? Because you're managing a team, you're coaching 5 participants. You need to communicate with them to make sure your communication is clear. And they look to you as the leader of the entire session, as the coordinator. They look to you for guidance and even your volunteers. Pay it forward. That's what we do in Toastmasters. You are actually a mentor. And you're helping others to go through their first steps in public speaking and help them grow. So gratifying to do that. It gives you great recognition and credibility. And I know that word great's used too frequently and it loses its validation, but it is so important in your professional environment. This is like a project management that you're doing for 4 to 8 weeks that you have to prep, plan, create a curriculum, so to speak. Wow. It reinforces your own knowledge and ability because as you're preparing, it's bringing back your own knowledge and you gain even more confidence because you know the subject matter. At first, you're like, Speechcraft, I don't think I can do this. But once you start planning and organizing it, you realize you do know what you're talking about and you can do this. And it builds your networking and community building. You know why? Because even a local township government office could use a Speechcraft. And that might start a new club or bring members into your club. I like to stop at this point on what I covered to see if there's any questions. And I'll be doing this periodically throughout because there's so much to cover. And so if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, or if you put questions in chat, Deborah will read them.
So far, I do not see any questions in the chat.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Yes, Greg.
Yes. So what if your club does not have a treasurer or a treasury and a club member or leader of the club or the president purchase the program themselves? So my understanding is that you're supposed to be reimbursed the money or something like that from the members or something like that. So how does that go when you're trying to pay the money for those members to be members of your club, but yet and still get reimbursed? How does that work?
Okay. So you would put the money out then, in that case. I did it for the organization that I did. They were not going to become members of my club. You make it a separate transaction. Those participants who are going to come to the Speechcraft pay for the bundle. They pay the 6 months. You don't pay it. And you don't pay their 6 months membership until after the Speechcraft program is done. So in the beginning, when you're promoting this and you're going to conduct a Speechcraft for a seminar for public speaking skills. and you tell them the tuition cost is, let's say, $90. You tell them that tuition cost also includes to give you an opportunity to continue for 6 months after to continue to improve upon the skills you're learning. All right? They have to pay you. Once they pay you, then they can register in the portal, but they have to pay for this. This is not free. So you would purchase the bundle for $50. Then when you got your five participants and you determined what your tuition cost was, $90, they would all pay you the $90. All
This,
right?
this is whether they join or not.
Yes, because if they don't, that $90, what you can do with that, you can use that for fundraising. That $80 you can use for fundraising, and that's per protocol 8.2, the fundraising protocol. But the money that you gain must be used for educational purposes within the club. That means you have to use it for educational purposes, to buying pins and ribbons for your members, that type of a thing. You can't go and use that money to have a party. You have to it's reinvesting that money back into your club and into your members. If you don't feel comfortable charging them $90 and you only want to charge them $10, you can do that as well. But if you charge them it's a way while you're working with these people for 4 to 8 weeks, building that community. And you'll see how you can do that later on as I go into other details. And by charging them, they can come to the meetings for free. That's how it's marketed. That's how it's marketed. And they can come to your meetings. And if they don't come, then you don't put their money in as a member. But if they come and they join your club, you put their money in as a member, and that gives them 6 months as a member. And that's how you boost your membership. And it gives you 6 months to continue to build that community with them. And let's face it, if anybody's in a club for 6 months, if they want to improve, they're staying. Because why do we stay in Toastmasters? We don't really stay for the program. I mean, I love Pathways, don't get me wrong. But if my fellow members, I didn't like them, I'd be out of there quick as anything. And in Toastmasters, we built community. It's referred to as a club, but it's a community. And without that community, you don't have a club. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you. Martha, you have your hand raised?
Yes, thank you so much, Ann. I was in your first session and you're doing a great job again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Now, Ann, I think I made a boo-boo. And I'm going to be the first to admit that the part about the charging, most of the members did pay up front, but there were members that came in on the second week that went to our, I want to say, Eventbrite site, and they paid the $20 from there. We made the mistake of just putting $20 there for the program versus doing the comprehensive piece that you have here. So
Okay.
can you tell me, I'm not trying to eradicate it. How can I, as I move forward? I know I need to follow what you're saying. That's great. But I have one other question before you answer me. When you were talking about all the copyrighted material that is done through Toastmasters International, I misunderstood something. Can you go back? You said you're not at any point to send an agenda out to anyone. Did I hear that correctly?
Well, you know what happens when you get behind the portal, if you're doing a Speechcraft and you're behind the portal, right?
Yes,
You see all that material that's there.
absolutely.
All right. Well,
I
that's for
think you
your
passed.
benefit as a coordinator. You can't take that. That's those slides that you download to help yourself to learn the material. You just can't turn around and say, okay, I have a friend in Toastmasters. This could benefit them.
Right.
You can't do that. And if a fellow Toastmaster's telling you that they're going to do a Speechcraft, but they don't have access to the agenda, my response to them, well, did you pay for the bundle? Because it's right there. I'm not sending it to you because then you didn't pay for the bundle.
Ah,
You see what I'm saying? And
I
people,
got you now.
we are
So
so
when they pay
nice.
for the bundle, the accessibility comes to the person who paid for the bundle. Gotcha,
Exactly.
gotcha,
And
gotcha.
you know what? We missed that in a quick post on Facebook. And we are so helpful. Sure, I'll send it to you without even realizing that the person that paid for the bundle, they'd have access to the agenda.
Yep.
All right.
But at that point, there's nothing on the agenda. They just have the agenda in three different forms, 4
Right.
weeks,
But what's
6
happening is
to
those
8.
people want to run their own program.
Ah,
And we don't
gotcha.
realize it. We don't realize it.
Wow. Thank you, Ann.
So we have to be
Wow.
alert to that.
Wow. You are a genius. This is so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Julian,
much.
we welcome Martha. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you finished?
I think I've
Martha?
asked you 2 questions. You may have
Okay,
answered them both. One was about that, the agenda, and I understood the other one. I got them both. Thank you.
perfect. You're welcome. Julian?
Yes, thank you, Ann. This is not an immediate need for me, but at some point I do want to be more involved with Rotary International. What are there guidelines regarding doing a speechcraft with a Rotary Club?
That would
Seeing
be
as how we're a
awesome.
partner with them.
That would be awesome. You may be the first person to get a Rotary Club to join Toastmasters. I don't have success with them. No, that would be awesome to show them, and it would help them in their careers as well in the Rotary. Yes, you could definitely do a Speechcraft for the Rotary. Definitely.
Because I thought I saw somewhere in your earlier slide how only a Toastmasters Club can sponsor a
Yes,
speechcraft.
right. So it would have to be sponsored from your club.
Okay,
Your
so they
club would
can't
have
be,
to sponsor it.
so the
Right, but
Rotary Club cannot be
you could
a
court.
co-sponsor then, right?
No, no, no. Do you belong to a Toastmasters club, right?
Yes.
All right. So you as belong to that Toastmasters club, get your Toastmasters club to say yes, they will sponsor it. You can be the coordinator and you can
Got it.
conduct the Speechcraft sessions for your Rotary Club.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thanks, Ann.
You're welcome. Suzanne?
My question is, can you run a Speechcraft without purchasing the bundle? I guess,
No,
you can't?
no, no. Because that's copyrighted. No, you know, Toastmasters is a nonprofit. They're in business. All those materials
But I mean,
are,
even if you're charging a fee and it's going to Toastmasters, you're still going through international, but you're just not doing because the bundle allows them to see the website or pathways or what does,
right. It gives them access to the materials. I mean, why would you do a Speechcraft? Why don't you just have them become members? And do a Toastmasters meeting, because the Speechcraft sessions are similar to a Toastmasters meeting, but it's more of a learning environment. And we're teaching them how to, I'll get into it later and you'll see what I'm saying. I don't want to get into my slides, but
okay.
no,
I'll just-
you, all right?
Thank you.
All right. Dion, I'm gonna have to move on after this one.
Okay, just to answer Suzanne's question, if someone tries to do that and they ask for credit, they will not get it because
Right.
Toastmaster knows whether or not you have purchased it, and then it becomes a question of ethics.
Yep.
So yeah, if you can try it, but you will not get credit for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to the planning portion of this. This is the nitty-gritty of having a successful Speechcraft. And just to start you off with, I'm showing you a timeline. Tells you 2 months in advance. You see at the start, it's September 9th, 2024, for your meeting to be held on November 8th. That's how much time you need to plan before you kick off your first meeting. Now I'm going to go into each of those details. 6 to 8 weeks before the event, which is 2 months minimum, You need to decide how many sessions you are going to hold. And that depends on who you're going to market it to. If you're going to market it to businessmen do not have time for a 6 or 8 week. That will be a 4-week session. And that depends on the amount of material that's going to be covered. These are all things that you need to think about. My preference was the 8 weeks, but again, it depends on your client. Are you holding the sessions during your regular meeting? When are your meetings? How long are they? Or would you hold it outside your meeting? What works best for you and your members? Because think about this. A lot of corporate regular meetings are 1 hour. Community clubs mostly are 2 hours. That's going to tell you how much material of the curriculum you can cover. 1 hour meeting, you might get 4 speakers. By a 2 hour meeting, you can probably get through all 5 of them. But there's a lot that goes on in the meeting. So you really have to give this some thought as to what you want to do. And you have to establish the tuition costs. You have to decide in your mind what you're going to charge and talk about it as a tuition cost, because that's what it is. You are being the teacher. You are sharing a curriculum with them. They are getting an education. Then you need to review all Speechcraft protocols, know your legal responsibility, be aware of it, and then go into the gateway, get behind the scenes and review all the materials and download them for what you need. There is a ton of information in that portal. Once you enter in your access code, they give you everything you possibly need. There's oodles and oodles and oodles of information. It is so powerful. They didn't miss anything when they put this program together. Toastmaster has done such a tremendous job with this program. I love Speechcraft. So now you bought the bundle, you have the materials. How are you going to put this on? Who are you going to get to help you? Well, what about the members in your club? Would re-engage them. It would infuse some energy into them, because for each meeting that you hold, whether it's a 4, 6, or 8 session, you need a Toastmasters for each of those meetings. You need someone who can provide an educational presentation. And I'll show you the curriculum that you use to do that presentation for. You have Toastmasters giving educational presentations. We're in Pathways, right? Well, let's give them credit for a project in Pathways. Let's get it evaluated for them. You can always assign one of these speeches to a project in Pathways. I know, because I've done it. And that's how you move through your pathways quickly. You need evaluators for the Speechcrafters initially. They can't evaluate themselves. They have to be taught. Your Toastmasters members. Then you need a table topics master, and table topics is a little bit different for this session. You need a general evaluator, timer. When I added the odd counter to mine, and they found that very helpful, and they were so glad I did. Wow, that's a lot of people. How am I going to keep track of all of them? Well, here you go. Excel. Oh, Excel can be such a friend to us. It can be an enemy too, but it's such a friend. So what you do, you open up a blank Excel worksheet, and on one tab, you create what a sheet's called role validation. Does everybody know what a role validation sheet is? Basically, it's a pre-data. You're putting in data information in these cells. All right, role, date, and as you can see, the education series that you're going to use is a Better Speaker series, and these are all the topics. And these are all the roles I need. And I had 8 sessions, so I set that up. The next thing I did, I went to the next tab, and now I made a list of my volunteers. Please note, your guides must attend all meetings. Now, we're volunteers. Well, realize life does happen and they can't always be there. But it's important when you're talking to someone to be a guide that you inform them ahead of time that you need them to be there for all meetings, because if they're not, another guide has to cover for them. And that's why it's recommended 1 guide per 2 Speechcrafters, preferably 1-to-1. So if you have 5, you can get 5. All right, so this is what I did. And then what I did was I shared a link to this Excel spreadsheet, and they could come in and sign up themselves because this is a drop-down menu here. They can select the session that they wanted to do, the role they wanted to do, and if it pertained to an educational session. You don't have to do all the work. Your volunteers can come in and fill that out themselves. You just share the file with them through a link. Going to stop there on any questions on that. If not, I can move forward. I didn't want to go too quickly. Want to make sure you understand how you can track your volunteers.
And there are other questions, but they could be answered at the end because they were related to the previous part of your presentation.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's go through it and we'll hold them to the end then. Now, the next thing you've done, you bought your bundle, you've downloaded your, you bought your bundle, you've made a list of your tracking sheet, and now you have to prepare for the sessions. The beauty is the educational presentation series, the Better Speaker series is free. It's out there in the resources on toastmasters.org. Now, when you download it, you might take a look at the slides and say, oh my God, yes, they are antiquated. They're 30 years old or more. What you need to do is take the information off that slide and put it on an updated slide with your own knowledge. And each of the presentations is based on this. What this is a facilitator manual. They're teaching you how to facilitate and teach this lesson. They give you a guide. It's very simple. And any Toastmaster can take that facilitator guide and create a good presentation. So again, Toastmaster gives you all the information. And this is a sample of the content overview that Trina put in the chat. You see this lines up with the Better Speaker series, how to choose a topic. That's their icebreaker. That's the lesson they need to be taught so they know how to write their first speech. Prepare to present. Don't these look like the Pathways projects in level 1? Know your purpose is the same as writing with a purpose. And what I had my speech crafters do, I had them combine the body language and the vocal variety into one speech. Knock 2 speeches out in one, right? Save them time and save you time. And that helps for when they become a member, because then it translates into getting credit for their paths and projects and pathways. Now, I'm going down to the nitty-gritty here. I want to show you how I organize my files, because when you're getting all this information, you're sitting there and you're saying, oh my God, right? It's easy. You just have to organize it. That's all. Make it simple for yourself. It's not hard, really. Create yourself a Speechcraft folder. And within that folder, create subfolders and organize your resources that way. And then if you see here, I had one folder called Speechcraft Session Resources. Downloaded them all in there, did all my downloads, got all my information down. And then when I went back into the portal, I read the lesson on the first session. So then what I did was I took the resources and put them in each of the sessions so that when I was facilitating those sessions, I had all my materials ready for me. This document is worth its weight in gold. This is a result of a collaboration between Cheryl Roush, myself, and Fred Vornbach when we did a best practice Speechcraft series last December. We had a meeting. And so this is a summarization of the top 9 steps for best practices. It's a great document to have to provide guidance. And here is something Fred developed. It's a Speechcraft event preparation checklist, and it's actually based on all the steps that I've gone through so far. After you see my presentation, he put this together. Now I'm going to stop sharing at this point because our next step is to go into the video. So let me see if there's any questions that I can answer at this point. If it's anything about the portal and the materials, you will see that in this video. So Deborah, are there any questions?
And while Deborah is looking for questions, I just wanted to remind all of our participants that I have been putting the handouts in the chat. So if you wanted to scroll back through the chat to get any of the information that Ann has just mentioned, you should see those files in chat. Feel free to download them.
All right, now I'm going to hide myself because otherwise I'm going to appear on your screen twice because this is a video and you're going to see me in the upper right-hand corner. And you don't want to see me twice. You want to see the video. All right. Are we ready to move forward, Deborah?
Did you want the questions? You want to
Yes,
hold on?
yes.
Okay. Raphael typed on, is this program going to be on, is it online available or solely in person?
Online it's a website. You can hold your sessions online or you can hold them in person if you like, but make sure the participants bring their laptops with them. All right.
Pam asked,
They'll have to print their own materials out to bring to the session because everything is digital. There's no paper anymore. So they would have to bring materials to write on. They'd have to print out their speech. All that stuff that you would need to do in an in-person meeting for a Toastmasters meeting would be applicable to an in-person Speechcraft session. And that's an excellent idea because that's how we connect with people, right? When we meet them in person. Any other
next
questions?
question. Yes, next question is from Pam. Should there be a refund policy if participant cancels?
No. Nope, no refund. They lose they lose their money. Toastmasters doesn't give refunds. I mean, they pay, they register. Now, if they don't come to a session, then yes, you could refund them their money, but that would be up to you. But once they paid and you've logged them into the system and they've registered and they've come to a session, there's no refund. I mean, it's money spent. Who are you going to get to take their place? And know this, even if you only have one Speechcrafter, you will still get credit for being a Speechcraft coordinator. So let's say you buy a bundle for $50 and you can't get all 5 and you only have one person in the session. And it's been confirmed with TI directly. You will get credit for being a Speechcraft coordinator, even if it's only one person. Next question.
Next question from Amy. What if Club 123 puts on a Speechcraft, but student A wants to join, but in a club closer to home? Would they join Club 123, but then transfer to the other club? What would be the options?
I would encourage them to come. You know what? I'd be a good Toastmaster. I would encourage them to come to the Speechcraft session if it fits their time schedule. And then if they want, they can join the other club. But guess what? The free tuition's for your club. It's not for the other club. So that's, the purpose of this is to increase your membership. So they're free to join another club. I mean, they're free to go to another club. They don't have to come to your club, but this is something you're offering them. And then it gets a little ticky-tacky there. So you're thinking ahead of the game, you're really going to have to think this through and see how you want to present it then. If you're thinking that way, maybe you don't want to tell them up front that they're 6 months. Maybe you just tell them your tuition is $90 to come to this session. And then afterwards, near the end of the session or halfway through, you let them know it's not being deceitful. I very much high on ethics. So you have to do what's best for your conscience, because I really don't know how I feel about that. Maybe you sell the membership to the other club. That would be a good way of doing it then. Have them reimburse you for the $60. And then she becomes a member. But otherwise, you know, if she paid you, the purpose of running this is for your club to gain members, and she's joining your club. So, and I'm not the expert and I don't have all the answers. So I don't know how, I'll be honest, I don't know how well I answered that. If there's someone in the audience that could answer it better than me, please feel free to speak up. Deborah?
That ends all of the questions online.
Okay,
No hands are up.
okay. I did my best with that. You just want to be sure that your integrity is not questioned, because that is the most important thing. You have to do it with integrity, and you have to make sure you're doing the right thing for everybody involved. You don't want to do anything unethical whatsoever. It's not who we are. It's not who I am. So just make sure whatever you decide to do is very ethical. Now we're going to go into this video, and you should be able to hear it.
But before you log in,
Thumbs up if you hear it.
you do have an opportunity to see what the Speechcraft is about. There are overview information that you can get without buying the bundle. I suggest you listen to this very important video that tells you about the Speechcraft experience and explains the portal and how it works. That's very important. Up here, if you click the overview, it will take you to overview, and it explains the overview. And for quick synopsis of Speechcraft content, here you go. It's going to take you to Toastmaster Speechcraft content, which I showed you can download from Toastmasters website, all at one shot from that resource page. Get all your information from resource so you're not spending extra time downloading material. Here's the coordinator. Again, this will take you to the Toastmasters website to buy it. The coordinator quick start guide and the participant quick start guide. I already told you to get that information from the store, so you're ahead of the game. This is an important webinar that you would have to watch. It's about 61 minutes long. But when you click on that, you have to register. You have to register and since I've already done it and I'm in my Speechcraft, it shows you when the date and time that I registered to watch that webinar. And therefore you would have to fill this form out to be able to watch that webinar. Oops. Did I lose my space? Toastmasters International. Okay, there we go. Then it tells you who would be interested in attending. And this is important to know, and this is going to help you decide how many sessions you're going to have. Let's suppose you want to do a Speechcraft webinar for your corporate executives, separate from your club. They don't have the time for an 8-week course. You will more likely do a 4-session course, a 4-week course. And you could work with them on picking out the topics that you want to cover. And then you would concentrate on the 4 most important topics with them. So this is going to determine your session. If it's someone that wants to become a Toastmaster or wants even more knowledge, then your 8 sessions going to be more the type of session that you would hold. But if it's someone that just wants an introduction to public speaking, you could hold the 4 session. Now I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to log in because I want to share with you you could go to the coordinator guide. Here we go. All right. So the first time you log in, you could go to the coordinator guide, or you can go to create an event. Let's see, I did click on the coordinator guide. I don't know why that came up. Okay, so it's going to take you to coordinator guide, and it's going to give you the coordinator overview. And then it's going to outline for you how to quick start your preparation before the event is created, things I have gone over. And this is stuff you should have covered before you even come in to create your event. And I've covered that already. So we're going to go to create a new event. And this is real important. You must decide what you're going to name your event. Because once you name it, you cannot change the name of the event. You can change the beginning date if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before, and you can change the end date. You can extend it if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before the end date. But once you name your event, that's the one thing you can't change. So be careful of your spelling and everything else, that it's spelled correctly. I tend to have a capital letter in the middle of mine. I'll show you what I mean. You don't need to put the club's URL if they have a free toast post or whatever. You don't need to know that. But this is why I want to emphasize that when you make the purchase, save that bundle order number. That is really important. You cannot activate your Speechcraft workshop without that bundle order number. So once you get confirmation and they give you a bundle order number, save that in a safe spot. Create yourself a Speechcraft portal or a Speechcraft folder on your computer and save it there, because you can't access the portal without it. And then they will ask you to verify your coordinator information here. And then you have to enter in the event details. See here, event name. It's really important that you name it what you want to call it. Mine was the orally. I want to bring to your attention right now, down at the bottom, you see that? You have to put in what you're charging participants. They want to know what you're charging them. Toastmasters, they don't have a problem with anything, but you have to put in how much you're charging for the event. Everything has to be on the up and up. Speechcraft. Name it for your company if you want, or if it's for a special event. Speechcraft interviews, or interviews, Speechcraft for interviews or whatever. You don't have to pick your date at this time. But if you are, you would click on this and provide the date and the time zone. But to get started, you don't have to pick your date yet, but you have to name it to be able, and you have to agree to the terms and condition. And once you hit that and submit it, then it will take you to your event page. And this is what I'm telling you about spelling. You see how my Speechcraft is? It's all in caps except for the S. You want to make sure. Then you will have to add your participants. And once this comes up, you'll see where you can add. Since I've already started mine and I have the participants, I really can't show you. This would be empty. It would tell you to add the person. You have to add them by name and email address. All right, and they will be added. You have to make sure they register for the event, because they will receive an email notice saying that they've been added. And they have to click on that link and register for the event to become a participant. And this will let you know if they've been registered or not. So there's some follow-up in the beginning as well. Then once you set that all up, it'll say, go to my Speechcraft Learning. And it's going to take to your Speechcraft portal in Basecamp. And it's going to look quite similar to what Pathways is. What I did was I've always clicked on the learning. You want a shortcut, when you click learning, what is here, these tabs are also in the learning tab. It says introduction, start here. That is for the coordinators to start here. And it's going to take you to a video of the Speechcraft coordinator. And it's going to take you to a video. The important thing to know is they're all slides or it's a video. This is a slide. It says start project, and you'll go through each of these. And if you click on this, it'll jump you to the introduction. What's important to know is every time you view a slide, there are resources over here in the upper right-hand corner. Do you see that? Download those resources and save them to your Speechcraft folder. You will need them for a reference later. You will find that helpful. I'm going to end this, and to exit out of the tabs that you are in each of the Speechcraft portals is you just do that and it'll bring you back. It's going to bring you back to your Pass and Learning page, similar to the Basecamp portal. This is for you, how to get started. Open the curriculum. This is your Speechcraft coordinator's introduction and your Speechcraft coordinator planning. You need to launch that. You have some learning to do before you even conduct the Speechcraft. That's why I said you need 3 to 4 weeks before you do your Speechcraft so that you can learn what you need to do to conduct the Speechcraft. It's the same thing as your Basecamp Pass and Learning page. If you open up in Basecamp in Pathways, if you open up all the resources, when you go to the resource page for the evaluation forms and you come to your Pass and Learning, you'll see it here with all your projects. Don't worry about having to mark it complete or not. It's just showing that you had activated it and if you want to mark it complete. So that's how to get started. Then for each session, you have a guide as to what to present at that session. They guide you. And you launch that. And that is another slide presentation. And I'll hit restart. And again, Coordinator's Guide, Session 1, choose a topic. That's what your objective is. Choose a topic. Teaching them how to choose a topic to write a speech. Talks about your first session, and these are the 3 objectives. It walks you through the steps. You want to introduce the Speechcraft program. You want to develop speech topic selection skills and impromptu speaking. That's where table topics is introduced. And on this slide, on these here, it shows you and it tells you what you need to do with the table topics. Again, I'm not going through that, but here's your resources for session 1. As you see, they have a session 1 8 agenda, a session 1 6 agenda, and a session 1 agenda for 4 sessions. It gives you an outline and it's easy to follow. I recommend downloading all of them. They even have a blank template. This Speechcraft self-assessment before, what is that? Before the Speechcrafters can begin, they have a self-assessment that they need to do, and they do it online. What they're advising you to do here is to download it and print it as a PDF and be able to share it with the Speechcrafters in case someone has problem technically with accessing it on the Speechcraft portal. So that's the before. Now, remember I talked about educational presentations. Well, here's the outline for that presentation. As you see in session 1, there are 2. In each session, they will give you an outline for the educational presentation that needs to be given. Select a speech topic presentation outline and the value of improving public speaking. You give that to your 2 educational presenters. It gives them a guideline as to what Toastmasters is looking for the presenter to provide the Speechcrafters, what information. And then you go to the Better Speaker series and see what type of information they offer you for that. And then you formulate your presentation based on your research of the resources. And that's how any good presenter puts together the material for a presentation. And that's how it is done, because in Toastmasters, what is this? Let me go this. Better Speak Universal. Okay, so let me move this. So that's, and you would have to go through each of these. I recommend in the beginning, if you have the time, download all 8 sessions. Take the time to go through the sessions and know what you need to know. If you don't, at least download the first 3 to begin with, go through those lessons and learn what you need to know, and then work ahead until you have all of them. You need to be prepared for each session ahead of you. And then you have videos as a Speechcraft. Getting started on Basecamp as a Speechcraft coordinator, it walks you through the step on how to work the Basecamp here in Speechcraft. And it gives you an overview. It's a video. You have written information, and then you have a video that explains everything. So far, so good, because that is a lot of information. Now, similar to Pathways as the Basecamp manager, you will notice this is the same setup. You have a View Teams here. If you go to the Paths and Learning and Pathways Basecamp, it brings you to this page. When you hit View Teams, it lets you see, the same as in Pathways, when you can see each member, you can click on each person and see if they've done the work that they're supposed to. The same as Pathways. It only shows what's active. Since my Speechcraft work sessions have been completed in May, to show you what I'm talking about, I have to go to the completed drop-down menu. And you want to click on coordinator tracking. Now this will tell you completed. If they didn't do the self-assessment, it will tell you that it needs to be activated, just like in Pathways.
And you're
If they
sounding,
opened it and viewed it, this will say on, this will say in progress.
And
The coordinator, yes,
this is Deborah. Something is a lot of feedback, a lot of staticking that's going on while you're speaking.
really?
Okay, now it went away.
Oh. Okay. Were you able to hear that? No,
little
want me to
bit.
go back?
Yes,
No,
please.
I
No,
didn't hear it.
Everybody heard it?
I didn't hear it. It was
All
gobbled.
right,
It was
so go
gobbled.
right back to here. All right. Let me, coordinator, it walks you through the step on how to work the Basecamp here in Speechcraft. And it gives you an overview. It's a video. You have written information, and then you have a video that explains everything. So far, so good, because that is a lot of information. Let me pause that for a minute. Did I go back far enough for everybody? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Thank you for
And I
letting
have
me
a
know.
question to Ann
Yes.
when you're ready for that.
All right, I'm answering Amy in chat. Let me move ahead with the video to Now, keep things
similar
moving.
to
Pathways as the Basecamp manager, you will notice this is the same setup. You have a View Teams here. If you go to the Paths and Learning and Pathways Basecamp, it brings you to this page. When you hit View Teams, it lets you see, the same as in Pathways, when you can see each member, you can click on each person and see if they've done the work that they're supposed to. The same as Pathways. It only shows what's active. Since my Speechcraft work sessions have been completed in May, To show you what I'm talking about, I have to go to the completed drop-down menu. And you want to click on coordinator tracking. Now this will tell you completed. If they didn't do their self-assessment, it will tell you that it needs to be activated, just like in Pathways. If they opened it and viewed it, this will say launch and this will say in progress. The coordinator tracking, that's where you want to go. And then it'll say speech tracking and you want to view the details. And this will tell you whether or not they've come into their own base camp and did the necessary steps to mark that they've completed a speech project. It's a little bit different than in Pathways. Sometimes you don't know whether a member completed it or not because they may have done a speech at another club or something like that. But in this case, they're going to do their speeches in your Speechcraft session, so you will know. And you want to make sure that you tell them that after they give their speech, they must come into their Basecamp portal and mark the project complete. You need to come here and verify that they did that. And once you do that, log out of the Basecamp portal, just like you would in Pathways, on this cogwheel or the setting symbol, and hit log out. It's not going to log you out of the portal, it's just going to log you out of Basecamp for them. And I may have gone an extra step that I didn't have to. You may have been able to go back to learning, I'm not sure. But this is the one important step as the Speechcrafter coordinator you must do. You must validate their speeches were completed, because that is the way Toastmasters International is going to know that they've completed their projects. And this is the screen you're going to get. Just put in the date of your meeting and the completion time. And then what you need to do is to search an existing training. And then you'll get this pop-up over here on the right. Let's say they did their icebreaker. All you have to do is type in icebreaker. You have to type in the topic that was covered for their speech. And you see, you get an automatic pop-up and you hit material. Then the screen changes. And it says Speechcraft icebreaker and the date's there. But now you have to add the attendees. So you have to hit next. And they're going to tell you to add the attendees. And you add the attendees there. And everyone, all 5 of your Speechcrafters will show up. And you just hit select. I think there's a select all, but I don't see it. Right. There might be a select all. All right. And
And
then
I
what you
never
would
saw it.
do, I mean, you never saw what? You would hit
The
save.
select all.
Oh, and
I
once you hit
never saw that.
save, the new
I never
screen's
did
going
either.
to show you this.
But it is there. I haven't found it.
And you can do a bulk record. If you select all, you can do a bulk record and it will record everyone as having completed that. The next screen will come up and you will have to mark that they completed it. So if you hit bulk score, then the next screen will come up. And then you mark record. If I deselect all, and let's say I just select the first one and I hit record, this is the result. This is what you're going to have to mark. And I don't score, I just say that they completed. So that's the screen you would see. It's real important that you validate each speech that they completed. Otherwise, they will not get credit from Toastmasters organization when they go to join another club. That's the way TI knows that they completed it. And down at the, all right, so that's that. Let's go back to learning. Session 8 overview. All right, we're going to have to go back to home. Your dashboard. I showed how you can check individually if they've done their homework or the lessons. What I was concerned about in the beginning is the Speechcraft assessment. And I could tell whether they did their before assessment before we met. It's important that they complete the before assessment before your first meeting. It's only something they receive and you as the coordinator receive. And it's basically a survey asking them how they feel about their ability with public speaking. Then at your midway point of your session, they are to do another self-assessment. And this one, naturally, is supposed to say that they've improved. It reminds me of the self-assessments that we do in Pathways, before and after each of our projects. And we have to do the after, so that Pathways, so that Basecamp knows the project is done and we get a check mark. In this case, they don't have to do the after assessment to get the check mark. Because as you will see here, if I refresh the after assessment, I think there's one or two that didn't do the after assessment and their projects are marked complete. And it's the same thing as the dashboard in Pathways. It's the same thing. Yes, I only had one in this group that did the after assessment. The others didn't do it. Even though they were told several times, reminded several times. All right. And then this tells you how far they're doing on their learning and progress. And this tells you their speech completion. This tells you that they mark their speeches completed in their Basecamp portal. And it tells you the projects that they completed. And that's what's important, that they completed all their speeches. Close your eyes, I'm scrolling down there. Okay, don't want you getting sick. So we're going to go out of that and go home. There's something else I want to show you. All your session resources are here in one place too. If you don't want to, you can open your sessions here as well. If in the beginning you just want to download everything at once, it gives you all the resources here, all in one slot as well. And as you can see, the agendas are posted there. They give you multiple places in which to retrieve the information. Decide where you want to get it from and continue with that method, because otherwise it can get confusing. There's one other thing I want to show you, and it is in this, when you do the speech validation, I want to go to the learning. I want to go in here. I haven't gone in here yet, so that's why I want to show you. Again, all the sessions are here in the overview. I want to go to view teams. Again, once you've completed your Speechcraft session, workshop, every member who participated, every participant receives a certificate for participating in the Speechcraft workshop. That doesn't mean that they had to complete every project. If they attended a workshop and completed 2, 3 speeches, even if they only completed 1, they get a certificate saying they were a Speechcraft participant. Speechcraft learning. And I want to go to complete it. Again, we're in the person's individual base camp portal. All the way down at the bottom. This is when you don't go to the coordinator tracking. You remain in the individual Speechcraft portal, as you can see. They're learning, pass and learning page type of thing, and all the way down at the bottom. It'll say activate Speechcraft certificate. You activate it and you launch it. And then the Speechcrafter can get their certificate. They can download it themselves because it had been activated, and you activated it and you told Toastmasters International, they complete it. And all it says, it gives the person's name, recognition, became a certified Speechcrafter. Doesn't mean they completed everything. The other thing you can do with this is you can download it and do a presentation meeting with them and present them with their certificates to make it fun for them. So now we're going back to home. And I'm going to log out of their portal. And it's going to bring me back to my home page. And there's a frequently asked questions page here as well. I'm going to sign out of the portal. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, stop. Guess what? I'm going to stop sharing my screen now too. Great job, Gary. Yes. You know what I did for Speechcrafters that missed my meetings? I invited them to come, because mine was not within the club. I invited them to come to my clubs, because I'm a member of various clubs, to deliver their speeches to Toastmasters so that they could get credit. Of course, I was there as their facilitator, and so that they could complete their projects, because some were very motivated to get all their speeches done, all 8 speeches done. So they came because they really wanted to learn, and life happens. So sometimes they can't come to the session. So you could, that's why you can extend the session if you wish. Again, you're the facilitator, you're the coordinator, you're running the show. You can decide what you want to do. If you have the time available and you want to help them out because they've had situations in life that prevented them from coming, and you want them to be successful, you could extend it. That is one of the reasons I failed to mention in the beginning, is that you should hold your sessions weekly, especially if you're doing an 8-week session. Keep them tight so that they're boom, 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 and done. Because if you do it every 2 weeks, that 8 weeks now becomes spread out over 16 weeks. My session was every 2 weeks. We started February 27th, and we didn't finish to the end of May because I had to extend it by a couple of days because people couldn't come. So I had them come to my clubs to finish up their speeches. So therefore, you want to make sure that you've given enough time for them. And that's why 1 hour or 2 hours depends. You can cover more in a shorter period. You can cover more in a 2-hour meeting and get more speeches in, because your presentations, you think about them, they're 10 minutes long. I've been to a Speechcraft session where the person did not do educational presentations. It was for a corporate short 4-week, and they just went right into speaking. I didn't think that was very helpful. I think it's very important that you do the educational session, especially for non-Toastmasters. When you come in as a Toastmaster, wasn't it helpful for you to observe the other people for about a month to understand what was going on? Can you imagine doing a 4-week session and you haven't told them how to formulate a speech topic and write a speech? even though they're professionals, you want to come in with the idea they know nothing. That's what you have to do as a teacher. And they'll let you know if you're moving the program too slow for them. Okay, or is the portal linked to the register? Right, the portal would be linked to both coordinators because you'd have to put in the name of the coordinator if you had a second coordinator. There is a spot when you buy another bundle. I listed myself as both coordinators because the person that was helping me was not a member of my club. So I couldn't add them as a coordinator because the coordinators have to be from the sponsoring club. Now you can do coordinate a Speechcraft between another club and your club, if your friend's in another club, and have them market their session, you market your sessions, and they have their own coordinator, but then you can come all together. Well, that's another idea if you're struggling to get people to come. But any further questions or any comments? Please feel free to put in the chat comments what you thought of the presentation. I am always open to feedback. Trina's going to put in my contact information as well. Oh, I gotta take myself off video, sorry. Apologize for that. This will be posted. They are recording it. Trina, I don't know if District 103 would be posting it, but I will get a copy of it. And I have my YouTube channel where I post my Speechcraft videos. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And to give me feedback, as I was saying, I seek feedback because that's the way you always improve is when you hear the feedback on what you need to do to improve. So please, I'm not shy about receiving it. If you thought there was something really wrong in one of the part of this presentation, please let me know. I'd appreciate it. I look for feedback all the time. Are there any other questions I can answer? We have 7 minutes to go. Deborah?
I don't see any more. The questions that were in the chat, you answered. You even made comments to some of the statements. I don't see any hands raised. Wait, I see 2 more coming through. Let's see.
Oh, I do have to share this. Hold on. I do have to share. Hold on. Forgot this. I have to share this in presentation mode. If you are interested in launching Speechcraft in District 103, please this is Deborah Blackman's information. Trina will be putting that in chat as well. Please contact her and she will help you. I also want to make you aware that there is an outage coming, just like for Pathways. It will be down during that time. If you are considering and doing a Speechcraft sometime in October or November, I recommend, well, buying the bundle now and downloading your materials, and you'll be able to conduct it. And then once the site comes back up, you can get your participants and yourself, and you can do what you need to do online, or wait until after it comes back up. But I don't like to talk negative about Toastmasters, but we know what happened when the Basecamp portal went down the first time. It was 6 months. We're hoping it's not that long this time, but it is going to be down for a few weeks, and it may not come back up when we expect it to come back up. Be aware of that. My understanding, I was out at the convention in August, and I had a brief overview of what's happening with the Pathways. And they're going to make it more user-friendly. The content's not changing. They're making it more user-friendly. We know the paths that are not going to be around anymore. I would have to think that Portal's going to be the same thing. They're going to make it more user-friendly to navigate and easy access to get to the information that you need. I haven't heard anything that the content is changing. I just think the look and feel of it, it's going to match the Pathways. because as you can see from this, it matches the Pathways Base Camp right now. They will do the same thing for this one. And then this is a resource that I have for you. There is the link to the Speechcraft Gateway, and I have a document with all the links that you'll need that you can check out. I give you everything I possibly know. And finally, I want to promote Cheryl Roush's event that's coming up here for District 103 on Monday, October 7th. It is a presentation you do not want to miss. You're wondering how you can market this and who you can get to come to your Speechcraft sessions. She goes over all that. She is a phenomenal presenter. She's very engaging with her audience. She's not serious at all like I am. She's very engaging and lighthearted and very entertaining. I would highly recommend registering for that event.
So, and in the chat, I have a lot of accolades to share with you. Roberta says, so well done. I learned so much. Looking forward to moving ahead with Speechcraft. Greg said, I enjoyed the session. It was so informative. I said, Ann, your presentation was amazingly informative.
Thank you.
Pam
Okay.
Holly says, very helpful. Thank you. Martha says, fabulous presentation and observation and questions. When selecting the topic for the participant, what is the best way to select a topic to record their work? That's a question for Martha.
Martha, could you explain that question? When selecting the topic for they select their own. Oh, you're talking about the educational presentation. Is that what you're referring to, Martha?
I was on mute. Yes, thank you, Ann. Oh, Ann, that was a fabulous presentation. I'm watching you. I'm following you everywhere. Put everything in so that I can follow you. This is good stuff. I made a lot of mistakes doing my first Speechcraft, and getting it right the next time around, it could be a year or so. I want to be right on the money. I want to make sure everything that you've shown us today, I can follow that, especially with getting the money up front. My biggest question is this. As I stated in the chat, I'm going to make it clear as I can. When the coordinators are ready to select the participants who actually participated, some of them, we can't do the bulk one because most of them didn't show up for every session. Let's say that they showed up for 2 sessions. So now you got to go down and do them individually. What is the best way for you to be able to get that topic that was discussed? Now, I've only seen one way to do it. Maybe there's another way that I don't see. When I get ready to put the information in across the top on the topic, I look at what those topics were supposed to be for that particular week. And then once I put it in, just like they say it, the material tab comes up and it says directly to the coordinator. Coordinator, this is what you need to put in to record as this header for the person who completed the speech. Now, I'm gonna find out from you. Looking at that, the average person is gonna be very complicated for them.
Yes.
What is another way? Because now you got to go back. You got to put your date in, your time zone. Then you can click that next button. And then the next area is going to be select your attendance. You're not able to select your attendance yet. You have to do them one by one. Then you have to record what it is that you're going to say
okay.
about them.
Right.
Go to that paragraph area there. I need to know from you, because it has a space for at least 3,000 words. Tell me the best approach to that, because you did everything in the book session.
Right. When I was showing you the validation in the video, and I
Mhm.
went and I selected the attendees, and then you go over and you type in the upper right-hand box, like icebreaker, because they all completed their icebreaker. Well, that's what I did, and that's how I recorded it. I didn't type in any special name. I just selected icebreaker, and it came up, and I selected that. And then I checked on everybody that did their icebreaker and then recorded it. And then it takes you to their individual person's box. And
Yes.
all I said was they completed it. I mean, I made no comments about it. I just said, I made it simple.
And
Just done, complete, out of here, gone, boom. And then they get that check mark because I validated it.
okay, Ann.
All
You
right, make it
just
simple. Don't make it hard. Make it simple. Do it the easiest way
okay.
because that site is confusing. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm looking forward to see what it's going to look like with the new, that it's going to be more user-friendly and directive. Because as I said in the video, I went all over for resources until I finally settled on one spot. And they just don't tell you that in the beginning, and it's like you got this big candy jar, right? Of all these great resources, and it's like, where do I go? Oh, I'm going to choose here. Oh, everything's not there. Oh,
And I forgot to give you something. I forgot to give you an accolade for keeping it simple. Even though it's complicated as a whole project, you simplified quite a bit of stuff. I'm going to walk away from here and I'm going to be much better with
good.
doing Speechcrafts. And the people that are now in my final class of Speechcraft, I'm going to be able to tell them a lot of things that has been shared here that was just clearly not clear to me in the beginning, the marketing piece and so on and so on. I want to thank you for that because that's an accolade I want you to wear very, very, very
Thank
excitedly
you.
because you did something here for me that I thought I knew exactly what to do, but I will tell you and be the first one to say I didn't have all my chips.
Thank
You
you,
just gave
Martha.
me everything that I needed. Thank